approaches and has a hit. Jack McGlynn! That is an absolute banger to draw this game level.
What is up? We are here. No MLS, no problem. Short slate, international, as you would, from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you're familiar with the show, one of my favorites. But we're here. I don't know if anyone's sweating a little bit of fantasy American football. I got Deebo Samuel versus Jake Moody, the kicker for San Fran. So sweating that out on a side TV. Let me know if you guys are sweating anything as well. Say what's up as you're coming in. Got a little bit to get through. Nothing better than not really having many lineups and just kind of living vicariously through others. But I did want to come on and talk about some purchases I made that I'm pretty excited about and probably will be let down with, but nonetheless excited about. Yeah, we're with Sorare Probabilities, S_probabilities on Twitter. This sheet is kind of everything, and it's only getting better with the more the bigger the sample size. So it's 3 home games and 3 away matches is like the sample needed for, to better tune the data. So we're almost there. I mean, Bundesliga only has like 2 matches. I believe only 2. Yeah. And some of the leagues have, 3 or 4. So we're kind of building in that pretty tough that way. So Ronan, first up, you can't hear anything, so you can't hear the call out, but I will show it on here. So I am sorry that you lost your headset, but I appreciate you coming in and watching me on mute. Maybe I don't know if subtitles can handle me because sometimes I ramble, but what can you do? Jack, what's happening? Any news on João Paulo? So that was a surprise. We haven't had any training news. It's only Monday, so we will get some more there. As far as any news or anything like that, that was a shock. Whenever we had the injury report come out, that was one of the big names that's just out of nowhere. Was not reported by a beat writer whatsoever. Calf injury. So we don't know anything about that. I think they will probably play it safe, but we don't know the extent of the injury. There's not a lot, and I haven't gotten to them on my first run through. I'm trying to get through some of these first run throughs early. To have them publish early and then kind of edit. Kind of looking forward. I know there's no MLS, but we have weekend MLS, then we have midweek MLS. So that turnaround is really, really brutal for me. So I'm trying to work on a schedule that there's 28 teams in total. So playing on a given game week. So I'm trying to hit 14 Monday and 14 Tuesday. So whenever they go live on Predictify and Sorare Inside and Sorare Probabilities, the plan is, to have 14 done for whenever the game week opens, and then the other 14 get worked on, Tuesday and Wednesday-ish. That way I can write my RotoWire article as well. So there's a lot going on, and I'm trying to stay ahead of it so that it's not the night before and I'm sweating to get lineups in as far as out to the public. Limited Whale, what's happening? Welcome. Colonel, what's happening? Yeah, midweek right after. We're getting into some more congestion. So I haven't looked ahead to the Sorare schedule. So we'll definitely look at a little bit of that. By that, I mean, I looked at some of the special weeklies, but not in the context of that MLS is going on in that. So that's kind of where I want to start, just because, let's see, I had it open here. Oh no, that was October, so that didn't matter. So let's just take a look at Pro, and then I got nothing. So can we go far enough to the game week that, so let's see, this is the week, this is midweek, this is weekend, so it would be, can't get there. So we got to get that schedule. So let's go to the Medium post and try and, I guess, backwards re-engineer to get to the September. Jack, we should know more info. The beat writers are pretty good in Seattle. I don't know how this injury kind of went My feeling is this happened on Friday because we heard absolutely nothing on it before lock. So we should know, but at the same time, sometimes we don't, but we should know. Need help finding an under 23 defender for this game week. All right, let's dive into that. That'll be the first thing we do after I find the old September calendar. So how does one get there? So here's the October one. Does anyone know? Okay, blog. Reveal ceremony. Once in a lifetime, twice. September. Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to briefly look at this because I want to see what they have going on for MLS since it's going to be a full slate. We don't really need special weeklies because we have not contender, challenger being open. So if you're playing challenger, that's great. But it's not the worst thing to look at. So what dates do we say it would be? So not the 13th, 17th. So what, 18th on, right? 17th to 20th. So they have All-Star open up for that, it looks like. So we got 3 All-Star lineups as well. So we're going to have our division open, which is great. Also All-Star to play with. I'm not sure what else is playing during that, but that's cool. I don't hate that at all. But I mean, like it's fine if the region's open or whatever you want to call it. I guess region for our card. So it'll be another chance to get that MLS utility. I was kind of looking ahead whenever I made some purchases. The team that I put together for the weekend didn't work out, but plenty of time, especially this midweek, could be interesting. But yeah, no luck, I should say. I don't even think I got a box or anything. Wasn't a good one. But yeah. Lewis, what's happening? I saw your posts. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, what the Essence Threshold special league would be like. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for some of these, which is it's a very good thing, right? I'll show you how I made some pivots as well with my new buys. I did buy some in-season cards, spent a decent amount, and hopefully we get a little bit of a return back. So we will look at this. Under 23 defender. I haven't looked at under 23. So other than like your typical international guys, it's always nice to see what type of players are on the cheaper spectrum that have internationals. There are a few teams playing. I think there's one match in Brazil. I think this Internacional versus Fortaleza. Bernabé is in that one. So it looks like he has a pretty good matchup at like $6. I don't know much about this guy. I don't know much about Brazil, to be honest, other than like the few that I have. Obviously, a little bit of a spike just based on, but he's a former Celtic player, or is he on loan? No idea. But he seems to be solid. 30 AA, 29 AA, 51 AA from a left back position. The AA is there. He had a goal last match. So, yeah, very solid. I'm not sure what happened. Again, I'm not a Brazil expert, but from him going to a bench player to 45 minutes on, I assume there's an injury. Now he's starting because of it, but I could be wrong. 100% on this for the league specialists. Let's take a look over and look at the player database. I got a bunch of stuff. Let's reset the settings and go to under 23 to see if we agree over here. That is a league that would have enough data, which is great. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And let's go to defender and see if there's agree. And then hopefully the Brazil expert put in their percents so we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone right there. So again, we're looking for a Bernabé, 80% to start. Right up there, kind of in the upper echelon as well, as far as a projected score of 51, under his value a little bit, but it is AA driven. So you can kind of lock him. I feel like he's a great floor play with a 52% win percentage, 47% that Wow, that's a really high clean sheet percentage. So you should be able to add on 10 there almost half the time, which is legit. And some of these other names are more expensive, but we can do a little bit more digging. But yeah, he looks interesting. I guess I don't need the lineup builder. I'm assuming you don't want like, some of these guys that play for PSG or like the pretty expensive guys. But at the same time, if you just kind of, if you're looking for a Levi Colwill or Margay, $8 isn't crazy for a good player. Yeah, that is kind of interesting that Kawasaki Frontale has a match against bottom of the league, Second Tosu. So $1.88 for Sota Miura. Okay. Gotcha. 30%. Yeah, that's why you really can't for international. It's really, unless you know the team and like they're still going to rotate, it's really tough. So that's kind of why, like, if you can go for like a league player and you kind of know that they're going to start, that's kind of where I would go for. And Lewis is here too, so he can definitely, they aren't starting because like this is so misleading. And if anyone that, follows this, that's why I don't like to have like too many internationals, because unless you have like a, server inside, or you have Predictorify or server probabilities, like you're just kind of going in the dark and you're like, oh, 100% for these guys, they're good to go. But if you have a guy like Lewis who does all of England, I mean, he does several countries from what I'm pretty sure, and he knows. So definitely glad he's here to run through these, because 100% should not be 100%, especially that check mark. That's a little scary, and going to have people with DNPs that aren't going to be happy. You have 2 D1 under 23. Other lineup has Hincapie right there. So like he's benched 60%. But again, what do we know here? So Miura just started. He kind of popped up. I believe he was injured and then came back. Yeah. But he had that 100 against Tokyo on the road. The only reason I have Wakazaka, so that's kind of why I follow this team slightly, but not an expert whatsoever. That backline scores pretty well, and they haven't been conceding other than the last 2 matches. Pretty tough matchups, though, so you kind of didn't expect a lot from either of those matches. But playing last in the league, Miura is interesting. That's for sure. And he's up here 70% to start, 55 projected score, 70% to win, which is really solid. J League clean sheets can be hard to come by at times. What's his pricing look like? $1.88. That's not the worst. It's just like, if he's 70%, why is he 70% would be a question of mine. But other than that, not terrible. Let's see if I can pull up that percent. I don't want to show. I don't know. I haven't gotten a concrete answer if I can show like Predictorify and stuff, because I just, there has to be a reason to get it, right? Although I can tell percents and stuff like that. So I will take a look to see if the J League lineups, which there's 3 J League matches, not just the one. F Marinos, Yokohama, Kyoto Sanga, Vissel Kobe versus Cerezo Osaka as well. Yeah, Miura 70% as well there. Sagawa is the 30% there. So shout out to Sergio Magda. He is the expert that I was looking at there. So shout out to him. Just doing a cross reference here. And 80% by Javier Desu. Interesting. Yeah. So he could be interesting. I guess there's a little bit of risk there, but if I was throwing a team together, and if you're playing limited, like $1.88 is not too bad for a guy that's, up here. I own Martin Dardai or Dardai, however you say it, for Hungary. I haven't really been following. I just know he doesn't score peak scores by any means. That's for sure. He started against Germany, so a little bit that was a bloodbath, but to be considered makes sense. But he just hasn't been a good scorer whatsoever. I won him, and like the idiot that I am, I kept him as usual. Just me not selling people. That's the usual. So yeah, a few options there. Unless you're going like the expensive route, but yeah, 90% here on him. So wouldn't pay any attention. Oh man. Yeah. This is a good point as well, because I was briefly before I got on looked at this because I was like, oh, Kawasaki has a good matchup as Kobe. You have both of them, but then if you look, I'm sure in the pick scores on here, contenders open, right? Yeah, you got the Shanghai Port boys, Gustavo and Woolley, or Wule, however you say it, who are just going to smash their faces off. Leonardo as well, Matthias Vargas. You have these guys that are probably going to smash their face off. But yeah, that makes it a little bit tricky. But Lewis, and in theory, not everybody's going to have them, and hopefully they don't smash their face off, although the graphs are ridiculous on those guys. But yeah. It's Hershey. What's happening? Let's go. How are you doing? All well here. Shanghai's why you're playing under 23. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Let's go, Detroit Bad Boy. What's happening? If you didn't watch him before, he streams before me and sometimes during me. And it's Hershey came over from the Kobe Live. Let's go. I do own a Gustavo, but none of the other CS boys. Oh yeah, Gustavo looks like the best play of the game week. So thank you boys for coming over. I appreciate it. Just kind of going through the game week, probably doing a lot of what you did, and then gonna pump my buys. No, definitely not pumping my buys, but I'm gonna show off definitely who I just kind of I like to buy on international breaks. I've done this before. Guys that aren't not either not starting on international duty or not with a team, just because I feel like they get overlooked a little bit, and people are more likely to sell because they're not listing or they're not playing them. So there's more maybe on the market. I've kind of done that, but at the same time, I have overspent, and like I've definitely done that for sure. Joining me this weekend in Cincy, I'm gonna be in Pittsburgh, so I'm not gonna be too far away. I got a couple hockey games. Duncan, what's happening? Let's go. Welcome in. South Korea lineups come out before game week lock. Okay. Playing J1. Okay. Now we're talking. Sweet. That is nice if you're up and like the lineups come out before, which is tremendous. Switching over as well. Yeah. Detroit Bad Boy stream. Definitely get on him first. Love it. Hell is real. Yeah. That's a huge matchup. I can't wait to watch. But yeah, can't skip. Yeah, we're in like South Pittsburgh area. Yeah, so as we get into, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but yeah, under 23 might be the way to go. Absolutely. But let's take a look at where the prizes are and how you can win some of these. Yeah, Shanghai Port Smash time for sure. Are you doing any best ball hockey? I am not. I don't play fancy hockey just because it takes a lot of time. The like daily ones, like baseball. I was in a baseball league and like I just forget about it, and it's like, oh, forgot to play. Guys on my bench playing. It's just like frustrating. So I just try to not play anything that's like a daily thing. This takes up enough time as is. Can't have too much fun, right? Contender in season D1, 39% right now. that would be like my only, if you have a D1 and you're playing in season, you have that option. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, this should be the way. So you can only play one of those Shanghai port guys. So you will have teams that have, one of those guys, but they can't have all of them. So that's definitely some merits to playing that. 191 lineups, 75 rewards. Then you have your essence that you can get off of that. So I think that's legit. Same with D2 and limited, 22%, a little less money on the prize pool, but not bad at all. In season 3, same thing. You're not going to see a ton of lineups. So those are definitely in play, especially if you have like a Kawasaki stack that has like 4 in seasons. And then you can like throw a Shanghai port guy with them. It seems like it's a recipe for a great weekend, great midweek. Forgetting the days. Then classic season looks like D3 has the best percent, but it's not that big. Of course, midweek, you're not getting the best prize pools. Podium money for D1, obviously. 12%, 11%, but all these are over 10% at the moment, which is not that bad. Usually you see a lot less with under 10. Under 23, D3 right now. 571 lineups, 9.81%. D1, 9.68%. D2, 9.37%. So some merits there to playing that as well. Contender D4, it's tough. Like you got to get promoted out of these in seasons. They've made it clear, which I like. I honestly really like it. That you have to you should strive to get to D1, even if sometimes you can't compete there and you drop down, but you just got to get past that D3, that D4 kind of purgatory, if you will, because that's where everyone starts. Whenever I started my EPL, I was in that D4, got to get out of it. I got out of it into D3. Hopefully can get another. And by the end of the season, I'm hoping that I can have some in-season, because I kind of basically started from nothing in Rare, that hopefully I can get some in-season, either like a D2 or a D1 to start the following season. Just kind of play that long game. And if I go the in-season route again, and we just keep going. All-Star Limited, 7% is not terrible. 3 lineups, it just should be a bit of a bloodbath with who you can play. Internationally, tends to be very high scores if you have starters, and it's just gonna be tough for sure. So if you could kind of avoid that, I think under 23 or contender like D1 in season or D2 in season is definitely the way I would go if I could, if you had options. But for like me and Rare, I don't think I really have many options. I don't think I have a forward that's starting, so that's a bummer. But we move on, right? Don't have to play every game week, although I'd want to. You don't have to. I'm just going to throw a deadline up in there probably, and just train some guys. Yeah. So let's go to the fixtures, because obviously that's what we're looking for. Shanghai Port's going to be up there. 93% chance to win. Wow. It never fails to amaze me how big of favorites some of these teams are. And then the XG 3.65. I get it, but that's wild. England over Finland. You have Japan, and again in a great matchup against Bahrain. I was hoping that Osaka would get that start, because that's the only guy I have. He shouldn't, though. Just based on what the limited research I've done. Chile versus Bolivia, 78% on that. Korea Republic against Oman. Ecuador hosting Peru, 70%. Then you have Kawasaki, like we talked about. Yeah. I think I think we're all on that same page. Some of these midweeks are just nothing to do with it. So need this to just roll through, and hopefully the week goes fast so that we can get to the sweats of many lineups instead of maybe 1, maybe 2, if you're lucky. Hungary's in a good matchup against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Esmir Baraktarovic from the Revs. making his debut there. That was nice. Had an assist. Iran versus UAE. Then you have International. We talked about International. North Macedonia against Armenia. As you can see the picture there, that's what everyone loves. The thumbnail. Zelarayon. Get your utility while you can. Too soon on that one, maybe. We have Colombia. So I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend I know much about Colombia, but we have some Colombian action there. Latvia against Faroe Islands. So, dial up your Latvian cards, 47%. Only a month until next international break. Oh, man. It's just too much international. I like international, but like from a server perspective, for a guy like my gallery, I just don't have international players, which probably speaks to like how poor some of my gallery is. But just it's always boring for me. But either way, boring for me, fun for people with good players in their gallery. So let's see. There's gonna be hundreds kind of ripped off here, but let's just go to All Star. Let's go to All and let's see who's projected the highest. Remember, some of these, there's just not a big enough sample size for the year yet. So you might see like Saka with 100. Sure, he could score 100, but you're not going to see as many 100s. Like Wu Lei being 100, that could happen. So I'm not going to say that won't. 50%? Boy, that'd be great if he didn't start for everyone else. I don't know anything about the situation, but at least here shows it's 50%. Marcina projected pretty well. There's enough data in there, so that 99 is interesting. Like, will they actually score this? We don't know that. Yeah, Champions League is very fun. What do you guys think about the new format? I like the old format, but I think I guess it's all right seeing different teams play each other. I don't know. My just first glance at it, I'm like, I kind of like the 4-team groups, but I don't know. That's just me. Yeah. A lot of Shanghai up there. I know PSG hate it. Yeah. That's for sure. Kucho time, maybe. Yeah. You would love to see him get some burn, right? I was kind of busy over the weekend, so I didn't really look a ton at like who was playing, things like that. Who they play? Argentina. Okay. And then he's got Hell's Real back. Interesting. Where do we go next? Yeah, I'm gonna go to who I went with. So just give you a little background into my thinking, and probably overpaying, but yeah, I went with some in season. So I reinvested originally. So whenever I won with my Philly stack, I won in season, good chunk. I took it off the site, and what do you know? I put it back on because I think getting into in season, I like watching Europe a lot more than MLS, just because it's a better product. Not to say I don't like MLS. It's just we're getting into the year where I'm kind of just like really fatigued with MLS and just kind of the constant grind of doing lineup projections, and then like the frustration of trying to find information where it's a little bit easier to find information on some of these other leagues. And then you have like people like Lewis. Like if I have questions, he's the man. I can reach out if I have Premier League questions, and he helped me with picking up some Brighton guys, and FBL Thinker. He knows some Bundesliga, so I bounced some ideas off him. Gave me some suggestions as well. So it's the community. Like I help people for MLS, and then it's nice to be on the other side of the fence there. So all about money. Yeah. That's for sure. All about money for that Champions League new stuff. ATX, what's happening? How are you doing? All good here. So let's take a look. So I'm going to scroll down to previous, and we'll get into some overpays, some just mainly overpays. But we'll start with the stream by Orjano. I had to do it, and then he popped off. So that was great. That was a nice quick validity. So I haven't added to that collection. I'm going to stick there for a little bit. I know he's only on 3%, but that'll be a plan moving forward. I will boost some things around him. So the in-season plan, prices. I know I overpaid a little bit on some of these guys just based on that short game week, but I wanted to attack it, and I wanted to attack some of these fixtures the rest of the way. Carlos Hill, why not, right? For my MLS gallery, I just need a couple smashers to fill in with my Philly guys. Philly stack already paid for itself and some. So I wanted to have basically my Blake and Wagner, and then connect that grouping with some of these guys that are smashers. So Ty Baribo has been great, but it's nice to have a Rossi in there. Carlos Hill is a midfielder with Jack McGlynn not being like a set starter. Gosdog is, okay, but I'd rather have Hill, right? We'd rather have smashers. So that's kind of my thinking. Classic next year, I'm going to have all these cards, and I'm going to run 3 really good classic teams and try and just grind through essence. At these prices, you bank one of these prize pools and you have a chance to make it back. So that's kind of my thinking. Hector Herrera, he could go off into the sunset to Mexico next year. Sure, he could. There's a little bit of risk there. He's been smashing his face off. Crazy AA just hasn't had the decisives. Now, is that more luck or is it skill? I think he's been a little bit unlucky. Houston's battling some injuries, and I think down the stretch, they could have some nice matchups, and he scored well again. He's scoring 60 plus pretty much every time. It's just he's not hitting those high scores that you're kind of hoping for. Rossi, hopefully have them all through the playoffs. Hopefully some of these teams can make a run. Tolkien just probably wasn't the best of buys just because he's been brutal. But I haven't gotten I'm over Premier League already as an Everton supporter. I apologize for that. Cucho, yeah, I did not pony up for Cucho. Just I'm worried about him leaving number 1, and yeah, it's the number 1 man. I had to, right? I had to. That we were looking to bring in. It went like 3 days with someone not buying it, so I offered for less, and they accepted it. So had to do it. And then we'll get up to our Prem. So I did get some Prem and some Bundesliga. So the rest of my buys here are to play in season. Just kind of went with it. I'm hoping to progress to the higher divisions. Yes, I spent for some of these guys pretty expensive. You can't sugarcoat that at all. We have the whole season. And, even if I don't get this money back, that's fine. But at the same time, yeah, I'll have it next year. And Essence, I think, is really legit. And even if I can get some Essence out of this, and keep turning it, I think long term it's going to be good. So that was kind of my thinking. I went a Fulham backline with Leno and the American, Anthony Robinson. I have some Brighton guys as well. I've moved some around, but I have some Brighton guys. They're in a really good matchup this weekend. Fulham has a decent matchup this weekend. So I like that pairing to kind of go with. I have Matoma, and I have João Pedro, and a couple other Brighton guys. So I didn't want to spend like $600 to $700 on Verbruggen in season, so I went a different route. So we'll go that way. I started a Brighton stack, but then kind of went off it. Took profits on like Welbeck, people like that, and just kind of went after it. ATX, let's go. Yeah. Amiri's smasher. So I felt like that was one that I really wanted to have. let's do it. So him, and then I got some Stuttgart. I know they haven't been, great so far, just like defensively. Shabbat's good AA. Again, had some guys with that. Hugo Akite, coming over from PSG, he has a lot of talent. He also fits into under 23s. So like some of these guys fit into under 23s as well. So it's kind of like a dual thing. Stiller, I like him. He's on sets. Like there's a lot to like. Undav is another forward option that I wanted to bring in. And then Flecken was the other keeper that I wanted. So this allows me to play champ as well. So hopefully I'll keep churning. Maybe get some rewards as the season goes on. I have some other Prem cards. And then maybe run 2 lineups, right? Just kind of, that was my thinking. It gives me more to sweat. More lineups is better. And then plus, like, I have players like Doku and a few pretty solid old season cards to kind of pair with these guys. They're not going to smash out of the park, but I like that Bundesliga team a lot. Like, I think it has, especially, I'm going to start in D4, which is kind of frustrating. I just want to build promotion, maybe grind a little D2. Maybe I can get a little lucky and kind of go from there. So the future is now, old man. Yeah, absolutely. Also have Robinson stack along with Flecken. I love to hear that from the England expert. Amiri is elite. That was kind of, he was the first guy from first guy I bought as well. But he was the first guy. Some of these guys I was in between a few, and then there's just no options to buy for some of them. So I ended up going this way. This is a great question. I'm just pulling the lever at T5. If you haven't read Yowza Peter, his tableau, his everything that is crazy. He did a huge study on it, and it's awesome. But I'm the type of person that I see the T5 and I rip it. I've had a little bit of luck. I got Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich, who's a good card, way better than a tier 5. And then the other 2 pulls, maybe 2 or 3. I got 1 tier 5. I'm like 1 for 4, I think, on tier 5s. Everything else has been better. But I just rip them at rare. My patience, I'm just like, okay, how many can I rip before that tier 1? And what if I get a tier 1 and it's not a great tier 1? So I'll take more pulls at it, and I think it's more fun doing it that way. But I don't know if it's the right way. Same way ATX, I just couldn't pay for him. Like, whenever I was putting together my Brighton collection, I wanted to add him, and then he had that link to the move, and then price. Yeah, he is elite right now. Just his scores and everything, man. He's on sets. He's, but what is he? 33. I felt the same way. Like, yeah, it's just for this season, for the in season too. So like, I just can't pay that much. Yeah. I got all cheap guys going about as well as expected. Yeah. My also thinking, I have literally no La Liga players, and I was going to, the original plan was, okay, let's go EPL, let's go Bundesliga, let's go La Liga, just because, I think that you could definitely rip it up and, progress. But then whenever I was looking at prices, whenever I was mapping everything out, La Liga keepers, some are like toss-ups, and then like, they're expensive. Where like Flecken wasn't that expensive. Leno, not that expensive, just based on this. But like in the grand scheme of things, just looking at like league wide, I guess like champ wide, which is interesting. So I just didn't go the La Liga route. I went, okay, I want a good Bundesliga team. Like, I like this team. I think this is if you can play a little bit of matchups. I don't have a ton of players, which is kind of like the downside, but on its day, this team can be really good. I didn't go with a keeper, which is another one that just didn't have the budget for a keeper. I have Atubolu. He's going to concede, but he has a nice AA. As long as he doesn't concede 3, I think I could still compete. But in the Bundesliga, they concede a lot. So that was kind of my other thing that I went back and forth. And it's just like, I can't stomach paying that much for a goalie, like one of the good goalies, just because there's so much variance. And while long-term, sure, they can do well, I would rather try and test my luck and not spend most of the budget on that. So that was kind of my thinking. Is it right? Is it wrong? I guess we'll find out. But at the same time, variance comes into play. There's a lot of outside factors. Some of these guys get hurt. Yeah, I'm going to be hurting and have to pick somebody else up, and I'll probably go the value pickup. But yeah, Garusi as well, mix of age and injuries, push me to Stuttgart. Yeah. If I got Challenger and Contender S's on top of my champ, I'd be going tier 5. Staying for champ only limited until they change it. Okay. Yeah, that's legit for sure. Based on what I play, it's just it's a hodgepodge of everything. I haven't like isolated different things, that's for sure. Ew. If I put Chris Brady in, I would have won under 23. Oh man, that's brutal. That is not good. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's frustrating. And Chris Brady didn't even do that well. I played Chris Brady. You didn't miss anything. But that 40-some points plus XP or whatever would have been definitely would have pushed you over the top. Dang. Sorry to hear that. Man. So I've been messing around with the lineup builder, just like looking for next weekend, because Brighton have a really good spot, and I want to hopefully take advantage and maybe get from D3 to D2. Like, I'm not even worried about what they win. I just really want to get up so that I can take my chances, and maybe with another good matchup, you pick up some earnings back. But yeah, cash is king, and we're going to try and run after some cash. Could I just, not win anything back? Sure. Do you think Messi features / starts versus Philly? Right now, I have him at 20% to start. I know they're targeting this match for him to return. I just don't think he's going to start directly out of the gate. It could be one of those situations where he comes on off the bench for 30 minutes. But they have been targeting this as a feature. But we'll see. I would definitely lean on the side of caution, although, it is Messi. He can easily in 30 minutes make up for that, especially against Philly. We saw a Leagues Cup last year. But yeah, 20% is where I'm at as of now. We'll see if that changes, but I did do Inter Miami's lineup. So 20% right now. Davidov, let's go. Pressure's on my Brighton prediction then. Yeah, really nice fixture. I mean, no pressure. It is what it is. I just pretty much, I think I only care about João Pedro and Mitoma, which as long as they play, I would be a happy man. I have Van Heck as well, but I know they have a ton of options coming in, so. That was in regards to the Champions League. I got the new system. Gotcha. Yeah. So as you can see, I have a bunch of terrible players this game week, so I don't need to show any of that. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of, I'm all MLS, but at the same time, like, I don't want to say I'm ready for MLS to be over, but it gets to the point in a season where I'm just mentally tired of doing the constant just 28 lineups, 28 lineups, 28 lineups. Like once the playoffs hit, it's more manageable and I can actually enjoy it a little bit. But it's just like, okay, last weekend was nice because what do we have? 6 matches to predict. Like that was nice. It wasn't horrible. At the same time, do I do it to myself? Sure, I do. Maybe I agree to too much things and like maybe I should do just less. But at the same time, if I can stick to a schedule, I can do it. I do it every game week, but mentally it's just straining to do it for that long. And I'm sure some of the other guys like Lewis definitely feels that. Man, he's doing a ton right now. So I've done 5 tier 5s and they've all been tier 7s. That's brutal. Yeah. Maybe I'm just lucky and maybe if I have a bad run, maybe I'll save up. But I mean, I don't know if it's, I think I pulled them when like the prize pulls were good. So like either international or, other things. I can't even remember. I think one was during the Euros, I believe, and one was during international. So maybe that's why I've done well. I don't know. There. Man, I struggle predicting 2 Australia games every 2 months. I don't know how you do it. Yeah. It's a grind. Like this week. So I'll give you here's what my kind of like process that I have to do. So ideally I try to do it on Monday and we have a weekend. So I have all week, which is great. So Monday today, my goal was to get 14 done. A lot of the times it's less just because there's not a lot of information out and it doesn't really make sense to throw something out there and then, have to change everything. But I've gotten 14 done. I'm on track. I had hockey practice tonight. I worked all day. So like to get 14 in that time frame, it's tough, but grinded it out. I did it. Tomorrow, hopefully I can get the rest of the 14. I want to at least get 10 done. That'd be a good goal for me. If I get 10 done, I only have 4 on Wednesday, and that's very manageable. I wrote a Wire article. I'd like to write it Wednesday night. So hopefully done with everything by Wednesday night. Write that. It takes me a decent amount of time, just, putting into words, things like that. Get that out. Like to have that to my editor by Thursday morning early, so you can get out there, because obviously you don't want it posting on Friday because there's just no time. And then whoscored.com, I do their previews for MLS as well. So that's usually my Thursday, or if I'm running behind, Friday thing. So I have that done. And then we do it all over again. And then next week, so Saturday matches for MLS. Sunday, I update my Google Sheet and kind of just dissect everything. What did I miss? Things like that. And then we have lineup lock on Monday or Tuesday morning, but lineups have to be on there Monday. And it's just a nightmare. It's so much work, so little time. And then you have to deal with people asking questions on Discord and you getting tagged while and it's just overwhelming. Yeah, it's going to get, Lewis, very tough with the midweeks. Like I just said, that's for you especially, and with you doing the championship as well. I mean, they have midweeks all the time. So that's tough. So I've thought about like next year, what I'm going to do. I'm still going to do it, obviously. I don't like releasing the reins, if you would, for like, it would make sense to get a bunch of team experts, but then like you have to manage the team experts, make sure they're doing it to make sure it's in on time. But I have kicked around, having a team and, I know a lot of guys that, follow these teams and maybe do team experts and just take some of the load off me. So it's not as draining, but at the same time, like I still do my own, like I feel like I get out of tune with teams if I don't do the lineup predictions. Like, so it's a slippery slope for sure. I just got a Hiradeki. I definitely pronounced that wrong, but I always say Hiradeki. For UCLA, UCL for Celtic boys. Schmeichel too much, yeah, for sure. Thanks, it's Hershey. Yeah, it's a process. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe I do. I don't want to say too much, but sometimes I do too much. I for example, like on Sorare Inside Predictify, I try to give as much like thinking behind it as well. Like it would take me a lot less time if I just put in percents, but like Lewis puts in like detailed. So you look at Lewis's lineup, I try to do like just try to strive to do the same thing. So if you look at the lineup and there's comments, okay, why is this guy 60%? A little bit of into that, and hopefully that takes away some of the questions as well. So that's a lot of the reason I do it as well. Kovar could play in UCLA. UCL, man, losing it. Oh, nice. Interesting. Oh, Kovar's been awful too. Let's see. Just checking my. Saw that 6 club experts to leave me with just 26. That's tremendous. Oh. I was 8 minutes. That's why I was like, wait, I'm so confused. 8 minutes below. It makes sense then. I know this has been short, but I don't really have much else with the limited, slate. We looked at some of the guys that are interesting and just basically just hanging out. So, if you guys want to see anything else, for sure, I can walk through. But like, you don't want to see me build lineups where I don't have a keeper or a forward that are just throwaways. So, Thursday's stream will be back to MLS, and then that'll be like the bulk of it, and we can get into talking about everything. MLS, and I don't think a single under 23. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't look at. Let's look at the under 23 keepers, because that is always very insightful. Verbruggen against Germany. Nope. Zion. Zion against Bahrain, I guess, would be a chance for sure on the road. But Omarashvili against Albania. Yeah, I mean, you just don't even know who's going to start for a lot of these. Me just looking at it, I have zero idea. I do have a Simone. So if somehow he would start for Albania against Georgia, that'd be cool. I'm going to play him, but, don't expect anything whatsoever. Oh, yeah, you were talking about last game. Sorry, yeah, last game. Yeah. So high. 465 got a tier 2, man. That's high for sure. What's your drinking game for the crew game? I don't know. Maybe every time Kucha touches the ball. You have Iker Alvarez and Marshvili. Nice. Yeah, I have been. I just neglected it the last weekend, maybe the last 2, just because there's so much to get through, and then by the time I was just gassed, and I just kind of called it before I did it, since having to build lineups. So I'll probably build lineups on Thursday on here. I've just been gassed and absolutely exhausted after, but if they do that, yeah, I would like to, because I've been trying to sell the players or flip them and then kind of go through it from there. So yeah. as far as fantasy football American, apparently Jake Moody, the kicker for San Fran, has 19 points, which is a lot for a kicker, that's for sure. So I need Debo to do a little bit. And I'm probably going to sweat that for just almost the fourth quarter for the rest of my night. So appreciate you guys all for coming in. I know it wasn't, the bulk of things. It didn't have a lot going on, but hopefully it was still fun for you. And like I said, Thursday is going to be the meat of what we're going to get into. Let's get out of this international break. Let's get back to league play. And then, again, like I said, come back to it. What time on Thursday? Most likely 9:30 or 10. Usually it's basically whenever my kid goes down. So kind of judge it based on that. I would like to do 9:30 just because 10 is pretty tough. Oh, got a sweat in daily comp. Need a Purdy touchdown and some more Jordan Mason. All right. San Fran has the ball. Let's force feed it to maybe Debo. Keep giving Debo, and there's Jordan Mason with a carry. All right. So good luck with that. It's Hershey. Hopefully they come through in your DFS. But yeah, I'm gonna watch the rest of this, and we'll see you on Thursday, 9:30 or 10. I'll definitely send it out. And if you aren't already, and not a lot of people in here anyway, but Detroit Bad Boy streams before earlier in the night, and then you can catch the tail end of mine. So definitely go to his. He's definitely worth a watch. So have a great game week. Hopefully you guys somehow pull something out of the hat, and maybe Shanghai gets postponed and everyone reaps the rewards. So good luck this game week, and we will catch you next one. See ya.